And we're live. Welcome into the Flippin Hippos YouTube channel, everybody. I am Star the Flippin Hippo. I see that Thrifty. See, this is why they should allow you to edit live shows. Why I should probably not do live shows. So welcome into the amateur hour at the Hippo Hut. Yet again, I was going to say hello to Thrifty Christy, and I see that Bill and Dave are here. Welcome in, guys. Good to see you guys here. Nicola's here. Holly's here. Hi. So, we'll just wait a couple of minutes before and let people kind of filter in. Noelle! Hey, Noelle. Welcome in. Good to see you. Red Neckerson's Resells is here. Like all the regulars. It's really good to see you guys. For two reasons. One, I love to see you guys. But two, I am going to be doing a very controversial topic tonight. And I'm going to be giving an opinion that can be unpopular, and I'm going to be dishing out a hard dose of tough love and a reality check to many people. So it's good to see familiar faces who aren't going to run me out with a pitchfork or tar and feather me. Hey, Nicole, welcome in. Thank you, Noelle. That's nice of you to say. I went out to the movies today, so this is my I went into public face and hair. Hi, Sherry. Welcome in. Gary is here. Hi, guys. Marie, hi. So, what I want to talk about has actually been... It's been a topic of conversation as long as I can remember. Like, I can remember when I still worked outside of the house, and Keith did this on his own. He would mention it in passing to me that he didn't understand why certain people would allow themselves to do things against eBay policy or things they shouldn't do for fear of getting negative feedback. So as far back as that, it's probably been since the beginning of time. It's a hot topic. I have not seen it go away ever. It's always in one of the Facebook groups somebody's talking about it. Noelle, you're funny. That's cute. Yeah, let's see if I know how. Let's see if I can give Noelle a wrench. I think I just did. So this is a hot topic. People talk about it all the time. And here's why I want to address it. I've avoided it for a very long time because I knew it was very controversial. And I knew that a lot of people were going to get defensive and get their back in a, their butt in a rut, whatever I'm trying to say. I knew it would upset certain people and people would get defensive. Yes, Noelle, you have a wrench. Happy Easter or whatever holiday it is. So I avoided it for a long time because, I try to keep this channel super positive. And when I do need to give out doses of tough love, it's usually a teachable moment where I'm sharing something with you guys that you may not want to hear, but it will help you in the long run have a better business, run a better business, be a better business person. And I only tend to go on rants when it's something that I really feel strongly for. If it's something that can get me up on a soapbox, or that I feel really strongly about, I will absolutely go on a rant because, one, it's my channel and I'll do what I want. I'm just kidding. No, but I will, because you gotta, was that country song? You gotta stand for something or you'll fall for anything. So when it's something I feel really strongly about, I will absolutely go on a rant. But if it's something that I know is gonna cause issues, I try to avoid it because we keep the positive atmosphere around here. And even when we do the tough love, it's a teachable moment. It's not a negative atmosphere. It's not anybody getting in fights or arguments. It is a teachable moment because, you guys, here's the bottom line. I wouldn't be on YouTube. I wouldn't spend the hours and hours and hours a day on YouTube and Facebook and answering emails and answering messages if I honestly 100% didn't want to help other people be successful. Thank you so much for that super chat, Lance. I'm not going to read your comment because I don't feed haters. But thank you for the super chat. I 100% appreciate it. This is Harley Quinn. This is Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn in the Suicide Squad movie. So this is not the comic book version of Harley Quinn. This is Margot Robbie, the actress that portrayed her in that movie. Okay, so back on track. I 100% want to help others learn from our mistakes and be successful and do the best that you can do and be more every day. And that's why I will tell you guys when we make mistakes. I'll tell you when we screw something up or do something we shouldn't have, because guess what? That means you won't do it, and you learn from me. You learn from my mistakes. And if I didn't care, if I didn't want to teach you guys, I would be listing 40 items a day on eBay instead of barely getting to 10 items a day and spending all this time on social media, YouTube, and in my Facebook group. So I wanted to put that out there before I start dosing out the tough love, because this is a topic I feel very, very strongly about. And you, some of you may be surprised. It'll be the first time. You may hear a little snotty tone in my voice, and you may see a little snark on my face. Lynette Kendall, thank you so much for subbing to the channel and feeding our hungry hippo. There's country music. Is that like a attempt at trolling? I don't know. Anyway, and Gary, your comment, I practically kiss a buyer's butt, is exactly why I'm here tonight, because you shouldn't be doing that. You should 100% be giving good customer service. Hi, Jameson's Closet, welcome in. And you should 100% be doing the best that you can to provide good customer service within limitations, within the policies put forth by eBay. Hey, 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 the other plush royalty is here. Robert, who listed 100 Hello Kitties last night or Friday night. Impressive. Impressive, my man. We turn haters to maters. I love maters. I eat like 1/2 or a tomato every morning, like for breakfast. Oh, the song I referenced. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't even think about that. It's just like when I was growing up, my mom and my dad loved country music. And so they would give me like life lessons and wisdom from country music. So, see, there's my little snotty list already coming out, you guys. Now, the reason I'm finally doing this is because I think that Keith and I have noticed twofold. There's two reasons why I'm finally doing this tonight. One, I really think there's been an influx in the past week or two of people's comments and Facebook groups about giving in to the scammers and the buyers that want free stuff because they're so scared of that negative. And number two, because Keith and I just recently had a negative removed. So again, if I can share my experiences with you to make your eBay lives and your reselling lives better, I'm going to. And it is 100% possible to get negatives removed if you follow all best practices and give that good customer service that I was talking about. I need a sip of water. Friday was the 100 Hello Kitties in, what did you say, 9 hours? I could only do like 80 or 90 in that time. Today was monkeys and gorillas. Are you in cahoots with Donatella? Randy, thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate it. Noelle's got some plush. Hey, Noelle is getting into the plush game. I love it. You guys, when I first started in the business with Keith, I loved plush, and I started doing a lot of plush. And I noticed that a lot of people didn't. Why am I going off on a whole nother topic? I just am. A lot of people didn't do plush. And when I would tell people the prices that I could get, they were shocked. People legit thought all plush was worth like $8. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's really not. It's my favorite thing. And I'm not at all worried about creating competition, especially with plush, because unlike used clothing, plush is a little more unique. So while all how many people are watching? 44 plus me. If all 45 of us went sourcing to a Goodwill tomorrow, chances are all 45 of us could possibly come home with the same brands of jeans and shirts. But plushies are so unique. Not all 45 of us are going to come home with the same Disney Pooh or the same Disney ticker. Plush is just so unique that I will invite everyone to do it because it's a good return on investment. It is super easy to photograph, super easy to list, and once you get to know it, you don't even have to comp it anymore. You can just list, and it's fun, and it's so cute, and it really is cheap to buy, and there's like really no competition because it's not as abundant in the wild, and you're not going to see as many copies. What do I do about low offers? How Keith and I deal with low offers does not change. Doesn't matter if we have a lot of sales, no sales, we're on vacation, it's Christmas time, it's the middle of winter, it's summer. 10%, thank you for your interest in this item, end of story. I'm not going to take less than what my item is worth just because I'm desperate for sales. And that's why it's also important to get multiple platforms, people. Yes, Thrifty Christy, I love plush. I call it photo shoots. Actually, the days that I take pictures of my plush, it's photo shoot day. Grand Larceny's here. Neopets are worth picking up. They are not worth a lot of money. They flip fast. I would call them filler or bread and butter plush. I get our Neopets for like quarter, 50 cents, and they'll flip for like 12 to 16 depending on the Neopet. Even the wee little ones will go for like 12. So they're like bread and butter plushies. Maria, that's awesome to hear. That's cool. Okay, so let's get to the point of the video now that we're 12 minutes in. We're going to talk about how y'all need to stop being worried about negative feedback. Why you shouldn't let the fear of getting negative feedback allow you to give in to these ridiculous demands that buyers make. You guys know that you should know by now. My number one pet peeve is partial refunds. OMG. Please stop giving do not let somebody keep the item and get a refund. Because guess what? The buyers have learned how to play the system. And for every one of you that's like, oh, it's not worth it. See, there's the snotty. I told you it was coming. For every single seller that's like, oh my God, it's not worth it, let them keep it. You have just created a monster who's now going to try that crap on me and Holly and Lance and Robert, Zombie. You guys know Zombie. They're going to try it on Donatella. They're going to try it on Gary. They're going to try it on everybody because you let them get away with it. And every time a buyer gets that incentive from a seller, that, oh, hey, look, if I buy something and lie and say I'm going to leave negative or whatever, you're just creating monsters. The bottom line is, and this is eBay's policy, you guys, no refunds without a return. Do not give them any money until they give you your item back. Any business operates that way. And if you think you're going to take a loss, then take the loss. Because at the end of the day, every business has to absorb some losses sometimes. And you should be running your business in such a way that you're making profits and you have capital and you can afford a $3.50 return label loss. Because you can't keep giving in to these people. You're creating monsters. And I would be willing to bet that 9 out of 10 of these people that come up with these stories are just fishing. And do you want to know why I say 9 out of 10? Because 9 out of 10 times we get a message from someone who doesn't immediately open a return, sends us a message. Hey, this is ripped. Hey, it had a hole. Hey, it was this, it was that. And we know it didn't leave us like that. And you write back professionally. We're sorry you're unhappy with your order. Per eBay policy and our company policy, we need to have you open a refund and return the product to us before we can refund you. 9 times out of 10, we never hear from them again. They go away. They go away. Call their bluff. They will go away. The reason buyers will message you without opening a return most times is because they're fishing. They're looking for that partial refund because somebody else gave it to them. Somewhere along the way, one or more sellers gave them a partial refund, so hey, why not try it again? Because I did it once, let me see what I can get away with. They have got to the point where they're trained. We have trained buyers to be turds, you guys. Yeah, everyone that's saying you make people return your stuff to you before you give a refund, thank you. Thank you. Grand larceny. If you sell something as a lot, they return all of the items for a full refund or nothing. That's it. They bought them as 4, they will return 4, and they will get a full refund. That's it. That's bottom line. And you can blame it on eBay. You can say per eBay policy. You guys know how when I tell you to do good customer service, I say it over and over again. I always tell you guys to do third person, right? So it sounds like you're a company. So it sounds professional. Hey, Swamp Picker, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. So you can blame it on your company. Anytime you have to tell a buyer something they don't want to hear and you're not in first person and you're not just you in your house selling on eBay, and you can say, our company doesn't allow it, boom, you've put the blame on the company, you've made it a policy, and that's harder to argue with than an individual person. So you should actually probably have free returns on, Maria, but we're going to get to that in just a minute. But yeah, if they get the item and they open a refund immediately for doesn't fit or something was wrong, item not as described, chances are something's wrong with the item. They don't want it. That's why they opened the return, because they don't want the item. They want to give it back to you and they want their money back. Someone who messages you without opening a return, complaining or making up stories or telling whatever, those people are fishing. If they really don't want it, they'll open a return to get their money back. If they're fishing for a partial, guess what? They want that item. They want to keep it, but they also want their money because somebody down the line gave them a partial and they think they can get away with it all the time. So, okay, so I'm losing my train of thought. I'm trying to keep up with the comments too. Yeah, Bill and Dave just dealt with a huge issue on a DVD VCR combo that was returned to them. That was not the one they sent out. And they had free returns on it, so eBay had their back. We'll get into free returns in just a minute. Well, Maria, even if you're not really a business yet, I would still advise you to not give in, because unfortunately, when people have that mindset of I'm not a business, I'm just a hobby seller, I'm just going to give them all the money back and let them have a free item, you're still creating the monsters. And if we all were just unified and stopped, it wouldn't happen anymore. I mean, that's just the bottom line. If they don't want it legitimately, they will open a return. If they message you first, they're fishing. They're either fishing for a partial refund, a full refund, and a free item, or they just don't know how to use the system, or they're just trying to be courteous and contact you. And that's why you write back and say, we're sorry you're not happy, but per our company policy and eBay's policy, you must return the item to us for a full refund. And then they'll either go away or they'll open a return. And side note, you guys, keep your eyes on your returns, because a lot of buyers will open the return to call your bluff. So this is another thing Keith and I encounter all the time. We'll get to that in just a minute, Star City Picker. So we run into this all the time too. They'll send us a message. We can tell they're fishing. We send them the professional, nice response. They open the return. And I think they're calling our bluff to see if we'll really make them send it back before they get their money. Because probably like around 30 to 40% of our returns never get sent back. It's like they open the return to see if they can just get us to give in and give them the money. Because, oh God, now they've opened the return. We really didn't want it back. No, just let it sit. keep your eyes on it. There's a due date. If they don't ship it back by the due date, the next day, don't call the day of the due date. I've made that mistake. And eBay will tell you, you have to wait the full day out of the due date and give them the chance. Call the day after the due date. Call eBay first thing in the morning. And all you have to tell the people on the phone is, hi, we have a return that has gone past its due date for shipping. Can we please have that closed? Something along those lines. But let them know up front, it went past the due date. You're just looking to get it closed. They usually put you on hold for a second. They'll come back sometimes and say, which one are you talking about if you have more than one? And then within seconds, they'll tell you it's closed. And you'll get a message almost right away that it was closed in your favor. And now the buyer can't return it. Okay, so let me get in. I haven't even touched upon this paper. Let me get into this, guys. Try to hold your questions to the end because I'm probably going to answer them. Okay, so there's 2 reasons why you shouldn't be worried about negative feedback. And the biggest one is feedback extortion, but that's going to be the second thing I talk about. First, let's just talk about that fear of a negative. People give in to the buyer's demands because they're scared. They have a new account. They don't have a lot of feedback. They haven't been in the business long enough to be jaded like me and just be like, I don't care. But people get worried or scared or nervous, and they'll give buyers the moon just to keep from getting negative. But if you call that bluff like I talked about, they give up. And guess what? You guys this is not a popular opinion, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to put it out there. Feedback is not the end all, be all that y'all think it is. Now, that said, when Keith was new to this, when I first joined him in the business, when we were new and starry-eyed, we thought it was the end all be all. Of course we did. We didn't want a negative. We wanted to build up all our positives. We looked every day. And you guys, guess what? A couple years later, I might look at my feedback once a month. I don't really even care about it anymore. Honestly, it is not the end all be all. Most people have enough common sense and intelligence to understand that as a seller or a store on eBay, you cannot please all of the people all of the time. And if you have a couple of neutrals or a couple of negatives, but tons of positives, they're not going to care. Nobody really cares. Now, I have seen in Facebook groups where people will say, well, I won't buy from someone that has even just one negative. Star City Picker, I disagree with that. We had a negative on our account that finally fell off. It was there for a year, and our sales did not go down. We've only ever had one for a, I can't even think of the word, a knockoff South Pole from Kmart. But it finally fell off. It did not affect our sales. Anyway, I digress. Feedback is not as important as you think it is when you're new. It's not that scary. It's okay. And here's the thing. If your metrics can't absorb it, it is a little bit more important. If you're brand new and you have 2 feedback, one's negative and one's positive, clearly you're going to have a 50% rating, and that is a little scary. But you can't let buyers dictate to us that we're going to play by their rules. You cannot let buyers dictate to us that we're going to do things their way. That's not how it works. Buyers and sellers alike play in eBay sandbox, and we follow eBay's rules. And in eBay's policy, it says in order for a buyer to get a refund, they must send the item back. And you can screenshot it to them, you could quote it to them, and blame it on eBay all day long so they don't get mad at you. And let eBay take the blame. But you can't let buyers tell us what to do. They don't make the rules, they don't make the laws, they don't make the policies. You guys, eBay does side with them more often than us, which is a whole nother topic. But if you do what you're supposed to do as a seller 100% and do the best you can to provide the best customer service you can within the policies, eBay will side with you guys. Trust me. If you immediately message them back and apologize and professionally offer a refund if they return it and they want to argue with you and they try to argue you into a partial or, a full refund even and keeping a free item, and you just keep reiterating yourself. Don't get into an argument. Do not engage with them in that way. Just repeat yourself over and over and over. Donatella. But yeah, just copy paste if you have to and send the same message. We're sorry. Send it for whatever your first message was. You can just keep copy pasting it because they'll eventually get the point. But the thing is, if you go to the lengths of messaging with them and offering a refund and telling them to open a return, and they don't, and they leave a negative that I didn't want this item and buyer or seller was argumentative, whatever negative they leave, you can call eBay and they can go all through the messages and they can see that you follow policy, you offered a refund, the buyer refused to return it, the buyer wanted their money without a return, and you can quote eBay's policy to their own reps and get it removed. Now, if you ignore people or you get involved with personally and argue with them or you engage with them in a way that is negative, probably not. So just be careful. Don't get into arguments with them. Don't be anything but professional. Keep your emotions 100% out of it. You are a business. So present yourself as a business. Conduct yourself as a business. And use those, we, us, our terms. Quote eBay's policy, say our company policy, be professional, but always conduct yourself like you are a business. If you bought something from Walmart and you messaged their customer service center and started to argue and call them names, they're not going to engage with you. They're just going to stay professional and try to diffuse the situation. And if it's against policy, they will just keep reiterating that to you, right? So just keep that in mind. You're a business. Please conduct yourself as such. Don't get into it with people. Don't argue. Don't name call. Don't engage. If they get to a point where they are name calling you or getting aggressive, 100% stop engaging. 100%. Do not message them anymore. If they leave a negative at that point, you can then call eBay and say, look, I offered a refund. I told them about your policy, and then they got aggressive with me and they called me names, and they'll remove the negative. So we're going to get to extortion now. We just dealt with an extortion that we had removed. So feedback extortion is when a buyer clearly states, if you don't XYZ, I will leave negative feedback. I needed a drink of water. So, if they clearly say, I want my money back or I'm leaving you a negative, you will refund me or I'm leaving you a negative. It doesn't have to be that clear cut. It can be a threat, like you'll refund me or I'll be forced to return in kind. Anything that sounds like they're holding what they want from you as ransom for that negative feedback, that is feedback extortion. So here's the thing. When someone threatens you and uses feedback extortion, you will 1,000% be protected. Any negative they leave after that, you call eBay and use those words. So ours was funny though. Our message that we got was clearly, it sounded like a ransom note from a cop movie. He said, I'm not happy with this shirt. You will send me my money back by Monday or I will leave negative. It was he even had a deadline. This is what he wanted. He gave us the deadline, just like the people who hold hostages. And then he said he would leave negative. And he said some other things that weren't so nice. He came out the gate very aggressive. So we chose to ignore him because we don't engage with people that come out the gate like that. We said he'll either figure out how to open a return or he'll leave a negative. He couldn't leave the negative on Monday, which was kind of funny. Joke's on him. For those of you that don't know, if you are an eBay power seller, they have to wait like a week to leave you negative. It gives them I guess it gives them an extra week to calm down before they can put a negative on your account. But yeah, people can't leave us a negative until like a week after they contact us. So he couldn't leave it Monday. He had to wait a whole extra week. So I thought that was funny. But he did leave it. And he just said item was bad. Seller wouldn't, I can't remember what it said, but it was like item was bad. Seller wouldn't. If Holly or Lance remembers, I showed them the screenshot of it. They can correct me and tell you exactly what it said. So I called eBay the very next morning. The negative came through on a Sunday, last Sunday, in fact, right before my show. And you guys couldn't tell, could you? I'm really good at compartmentalizing and switching roles and flipping switches and doing what I need to do and not focusing on anything else. So it came in last Sunday, right before the show, and I was like, there's nothing I can do about it. So I called Monday morning because I was waiting for the concierge service that we have where I can get an American based. They work in California out of the headquarters. I wanted one of them on the phone. And the first thing out of my mouth was, hi, we have negative feedback, but it was feedback extortion. And she said, yeah, I'll just go through your messages. Hold on one second. And she told me it would take up to 24 hours to remove. She came back on the phone immediately and she said, yeah, this is clear cut feedback extortion. 100% we'll remove this for you. And she said, it would take up to 24 hours. By the time we hung up, it was gone. So if you guys ever deal with someone that does the feedback extortion, you don't even have to engage with them if you don't want to at that point. We didn't. We chose to ignore them. We were very aggressive, very mean. You can choose to ignore them for that fact. And if you were to call in and say, look, this is feedback extortion, the thing is once you use those two words, they're supposed to go through your messages and immediately remove the negative. If you got one of those reps that wanted to be a turd and said, well, you didn't even respond, just say that. Like, oh, he was sounded aggressive. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to engage in arguments with my buyers. So that's the thing. If someone leaves you a negative after you've offered to fix the problem because they didn't get their way and their way was outside of eBay's policy, or if someone threatens you clearly with negative feedback and still doesn't get their way, those are times eBay will remove the negative from your account for you. So don't allow buyers, I've said this like 5 times, let me say it one more time. Don't allow buyers to dictate to you how you're going to run your business. The only person other than yourself, or if you have a business partner or a significant other involved in the business with you, the only other person that has a say and can tell you and dictate to you how to run your business is eBay. Buyers 100% cannot dictate to you how to run your business. And if you stay within policy and you offer professional, courteous responses that offer to solve their problem, and that's not good enough for them because they're a brat and they want something for free, let them leave the negative and call eBay. Now, we're going to talk about free returns. Again, if you guys could save your questions to the end. I'm almost through my notes. I just want to make sure I got through all my points, and then I will open up the floor and take questions. So here's the thing. Free returns. Y'all will remember when they first said they were going to have free returns and they were encouraging everyone to switch to them. We weren't very happy about it, but we went with the flow because what do? You play an eBay sandbox, you follow their rules. But in the last year or so that we've been doing free returns, it's not on all of our items. Anything that weighs over a pound, I'm not doing free returns on, because if that thing went to California and came back, we're screwed. But first class items and stuff like that, we do free returns on. And I have some jeans I charge shipping on that I'll put free returns on. When you do free returns, you're protected. Okay, this is alleged, but I have actually heard people that said it's true. You're protected from negative feedback. So if you have free returns on your item and they leave you a negative, eBay will remove it, because basically by turning on those free returns, you're telling them no matter what the reason, you don't like the color, you don't like the fit, you don't like how it arrived, you don't like my packaging. I think the reason doesn't matter. They can return it for any reason for free. Hey Justin, thanks for showing up. Welcome in. And they don't utilize that and they leave you a negative instead. eBay will remove the negative, because in their mind, if you're offering free returns, they should have just returned it instead of leaving a negative if they were unhappy. And that was the other edge of the sword with the feedback extortion we just dealt with. It was an item with free returns as well. So if he wasn't happy, he should have just returned it instead of threatening negative feedback if he didn't get his money back and to keep the item. So that's just something to keep in mind. I know a lot of people do not like free returns, but the thing is, if it's under a pound, you might as well, because they'll have your back. They will not let the buyer leave negative feedback for you on an item with free returns. And if they do return it in any condition other than it was sent to them, you will have the opportunity, when you go on the desktop and you go to refund their money, you have the opportunity to offer up to 50% less back on the return, and you are allowed to give a reason. We've only ever had to do that one time, and while eBay didn't necessarily side with us, it didn't impact us either. So it was a cell phone, and the guy jacked it up. I guess he was trying to fix something on it. It was for parts or repair. It came back in worse condition than we had sent it out. So Keith refunded the guy like 50% and said, "You've lowered the value of the phone by 50%. It came back in this condition." The buyer immediately contested. That's not the word I want. I don't know the word I want. I'm totally having a brain fart. But when you refund less than 100%, they have a chance to contest it. We'll just use that word because I'm totally brain farting. And eBay will look the case over, and chances are, from what I've heard from other people, and the one time we had it happen to us, eBay will close the case in your favor and you don't have to do anything else, but they will refund the buyer out of their own pocket, because eBay is all about creating those little monsters and trolls that we all don't like. All the people scamming and trying for free items and partial returns. eBay loves to create them, but we didn't have to do anything. Once we supplied a reason why we were doing a partial refund to the buyer, the minute he complained, eBay was like, nope. And that was it for us. There was nothing on our account. There was no ding. And we didn't have to give him back that money. So, now, let's open up the floor for questions, you guys. If while I was talking I missed something you asked, throw it up. Ask away. It can be about what we're talking about tonight, or anything and everything at all, even if it's not reselling related. We got about 20 minutes left of my 1 hour live show. So go ahead and throw the questions up, guys. See, Noelle does returns, but not free returns. I'm not entirely sure what all you sell, but for some people, the free returns is best to have if you have, I don't know. I just, the experiences I've had with it, I would rather have it on. Because I would rather just be like, I want to keep 50% of my money because you tore the tags off, and not have to fight with eBay. I don't have to fight over that stuff anymore. It's just like, I decide. And they can't leave negative. She sells everything. I hope only legal things, honey. Okay, so Gary, the only exception would be if it's clearly my mistake. And I don't even know how that would be. I can't even think of an example. But let's say something happened and it was my mistake. I would probably give a partial. And that's never happened. That's why I don't have an exception. But if it were somehow my fault, of course. But second is if it's a breakable item that went priority and it arrives broken to the buyer, I don't want it back. Because it's broken, and it's not worth them sending it back, and it's not their problem, and they're not a scammer. Well, sometimes they are. I have heard horror stories where someone will buy your item and then show you pictures of a broken one, and then you can tell by a mark or something that it's a different one. But aside from that, if if we've had this happen twice. So what you do is you ask your buyer, you refund them 100%, and you ask them very nicely for pictures, if they still have it, of the box or the packaging and the item broken. And then you are responsible as the seller to go file through the United States Postal Service for your insurance. So you can get your money back that way. It wasn't that hard. It took a really, really, really long time, and they kept asking for more information. They wanted, we showed them like the PayPal transaction for the original purchase and then the refund. Then they wanted a picture of the original listing to prove the worth of the item. It's really not that hard to file that, though. And if it's something you sent priority and it arrives broken, you have that insurance. And why pay to have it shipped back to you if you can't resell it? Hi, Chuck. Thanks for coming in. So in that case, and if they don't want to send you pictures, you're kind of asked out. So maybe you want them to send it back so you could take pictures yourself for the claim. But I've never run into people that aren't willing. Like the minute I tell them, hey, yeah, 100% that's broken. Oops. Postal Service is bad. I always blame other people. I blame eBay. I blame our company. I blame the Postal Service. I tell them we packaged it with love and care. And we can't help what happens when it's out of our hands. And I'll say, I'll give you, 100% refund you. But would you mind sending us those photos? And then you can file for your insurance. Fatima, to answer your question, whether you're a newbie or not, whether you should have a store is contingent upon how much you're listing. So if you don't have a store at all, or if you already have one, if the cost of the next store up, or the starter store, is equal to or less than the amount you're spending on your listings, then you should get a subscription. Because if you can pay for the subscription and get the same amount of listings or pay less for the subscription, then it would make sense. It's not really contingent upon if you're a newbie or not. I know Keith got a store really quickly when he first started because he was listing so much. He was paying more for listings than the basic store would have cost him. So it's kind of contingent upon that. Maria, that's really iffy. That's really iffy. I don't know. Like we had free returns on some of our phones just because we sell some of them as parts and repair, and we found out the hard way. You can actually search the channel if you're ever curious for the video about eBay not having any seller protection. We found out the hard way if something's up for parts or repair. They can open an item not as described against you and say that it was broken and send it back. So we started putting free returns on some of the phones just so these guys that buy the phone, get it, figure out they can't fix it, wouldn't lie and open an item not as described to send it back to us. They could just send it back. And then if they, in their efforts of trying to fix it, changed it or made it worse in any way, we can refund them less money. So it just really depends on your items, how much they weigh and stuff like that. There is extra money for free returns. You get an extra, I think it's like 10% off your final value fees, top rated seller plus, but that's not the only difference. You get the opportunity to refund less money. You get the opportunity to be protected against negative feedback. It is alleged that free returns will put you higher in search. I can tell you this. I can tell you that having free returns on is something eBay would prefer their sellers to do. And typically, if you're doing something that they consider best practices or something they would prefer us to do, they will absolutely give you a boost in the search engine. Yeah, we do not have free returns on a lot of our hard goods. Anything that weighs over a pound. I have plushies that are really big that weigh over a pound. I don't have free returns on them. The jeans that I do free shipping on and the padded flat, I do not have free returns on that. It's basically just our first class clothing and then anything that Key's selling for parts or repair. Because we found out the hard way, people will buy them, find out they can't fix it or it's a hard fix. They'll item not as described you to be able to send it back because you sell for part to repair, no returns, obviously. And once they open the item not as described, you have to take it back and then you have to refund them the full amount. So that's just the way we found to protect ourselves that way. Gary, you are too nice. Oh, it's Dab Kitty on her husband's phone. Well, hello, you on Chuck's account. A power seller. You know what? Can anybody help me out here? We've been power sellers for so long. I can't even remember what the criteria is. I think it's just the amount of volume you do or something. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. I really honestly couldn't even tell you the criteria for top rated seller at this point, except I know you can be a top rated seller plus with the free returns and you don't get the plus without the free returns. But sometimes, I just feel like I'm out of touch sometimes because we've had things on for so long. If anybody knows, maybe Holly's in the chat and she'll Google. We've had it for so long. I cannot remember. I don't know if it has something to do with your overall sales, historically, or how much you're selling, volume-wise. If nobody else looks it up in a second, I will pull it up on my phone, just so we know. How can you do partial refunds with the buyer paying the shipping? I was told by the concierge service you cannot do that. It has to be a free return. Here's the thing though, when you have the free returns on, if you have items that it's feasible to put it on, you're also going to get less item not as described. Because again, these buyers have been trained over time that, I was going to say to be monsters, but I keep saying that. But they are. They're I mean, just like anybody in life, if you keep letting them get away with stuff without consequences, they're going to turn into a big fat monster. But buyers have been trained that if they receive an item and they know they don't like it or don't want it because it doesn't fit or color or any reason for buyer's remorse, that they're going to have to pay for the return. And many of them know that, and they will open a false item not as described against you just to get you to pay the return shipping. And once you have an item not as described opened, it cannot be removed. It is a ding on your account. You can call eBay and argue that it wasn't a clear-cut item not as described, and they will not remove the ding. They'll tell you blah, 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 but they will pay. They'll refund you for the return shipping if you could prove it was a false item not as described opened for buyer's remorse. But if you have free returns on, we've had, in the past year, since we've had free returns on, we had one item not as described opened, and I kid you not, the reason was it doesn't fit. But they opened it that way so they didn't have to pay for the return. But it was an item with free returns. So that just proves two things to me. One, buyers never read anything because it had free returns on it. You didn't have to lie. And two, they'll do anything they can do to lie and cheat the system and not have to pay for the return. So yeah, we've had two items not described for buyer's remorse. One was color and one was doesn't fit on items with free returns just because they don't pay attention. And they are so trained to open those false item not as described. But it was only two. And our overall returns didn't go up either when we turned them on. I was afraid it would. I was afraid that we were going to turn into one big giant dressing room rental shop, but we didn't. It was fine. I am going to keep scrolling. I'm way behind on the chat, so just bear with me, people. Donatella, I would agree with what you just said, but I will not say it out loud because I do not want to jinx myself. But it was about plush. I'm really superstitious about some things. Like, I feel like sometimes when I say something out loud, the exact opposite will happen next time. Holly's like, sorry, what do you need? Okay, so right now, Fatima, with the new GTC, I haven't really had to deal with it yet. So far, since I think it was Tuesday when it kicked in, our 30-day listing, all our listings were 30-day. Our listings are ending and going to the unsolds. They're not flipping. It's not like they're flipping into good till canceled and being relisted. Because they were 30-day, they just end and go to the unsolds, just like they always did before, forever and ever and ever. So I haven't really had to change my routine yet. I just go into the unsolds every morning. You know, I get my coffee, I sit down, go to the unsolds, and sell similar in bulk, like I've always done. But once I think, you know, after 30 days pass and everything in our store has been flipped over till good till canceled, that is what I'm going to do. I'll just change my routine that I get my coffee, I sit down, I will go on the back end. And for those of you that don't know this, I've seen a lot of people angry or upset or complaining about this. You can see how long the listing has left on the computer. You cannot see it on the app, but if you go onto your seller hub on your laptop or your desktop and you go on the back end of your active listings and scroll all the way over and change it so you're seeing ending soonest, you can see how many days they have left. So what I'll do is find everything that's ending within the next 24 hours, because I typically, you know, wake up the same time, get the coffee, and do this every morning at the same time. So I'll just grab everything ending in the next 24 hours, end it myself manually, send it to unsolds, and then do as I've always done before. You can be a top-rated seller without free returns. You just can't be a top-rated seller plus. So power seller criteria is to be active for a minimum of 90 days. So that would explain why I can't remember. Keith started this by himself in December of 16. And I didn't join him until last year in January of 18. So he was already a power seller when I joined him in the business. So I remember when it happened. I remember he was, you know, happy about it. But gosh, that's a long time ago. If it was 90 days, it's probably like it was March or April of 17. That was right about the time I was injured. So I probably wasn't paying any attention to him. I was busy dealing with my back issue. Thanks for expelling. Maria, you're cute. Hey, Grandma Wrinkles, welcome in. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good to see you here. Thank you, Gary. Have a good week yourself, and you know you can always leave comments. I always get back to you. Yes, you don't have the option of 30 days. While our 30 days are ending, they're not on their own flipping to GTC and listing themselves. They're all going to the unsold. When I select all, sell similar in bulk, it tells me at the top there's an error that says these must be good till canceled, and it flips them then, and they go back into the store as good till canceled. We are back to 100%. Whoop whoop! Our knockoff South Pole finally fell off. That was the most ridiculous negative ever. And I should tell you guys, so we did just have that feedback extortion removed last Monday. But in addition to that, in the last, year that I've been involved with it, I've called in for Keith and had 4 or 5 more removed. And that year before, when he was by himself, I know he did 2 or 3 on his own. So they do remove it, you guys, if it's ridiculous. And the only one that ever stuck was that knockoff South Pole. And don't think I didn't try. I called and I was like, listen, South Pole is a Kmart brand. It's a skater brand that has a following, and that's the only reason I picked it up, because it was 99 cents. This is not a brand I would normally sell. It's a piece of poop brand, and no one is trying to knock it off. And they were like, well, that's his opinion of his experience. And I'm like, no, accusing somebody of selling knockoffs is not an opinion. That's an accusation, and we don't sell knockoffs, so you should remove it. And they wouldn't. So we had to wait the entire year for it to fall off. I don't know that the shipping's changing. Every year, the United States Postal Service itself raises our rates, and then eBay will raise accordingly because we get a special commercial discount with them. Thanks, Fatima. Yeah, you guys, hit that like button. Noelle has 100% feedback, no negatives, no neutrals. That must be really nice. Maybe it's because we deal in so much volume, but we have so many item not as described, and stupid ones, and they don't remove them anymore. Ever since they implemented the free returns, if you get one, that's it. Boom. It used to be a year ago today, if someone opened an item not as described because the red looked different in person than it did on their computer, you could clearly call them and they would remove the item not as described. They would close the return in your favor, and they would advise the buyer to reopen it for buyer's remorse. 100%. I did it 4 times. I'm not crazy. I remember it. 4 separate occasions between January and like March of last year, we had item not as described open for like color or size. Called in, they closed the return, seriously, and told the buyer to reopen it, and then they implemented the free returns, and now we're being told they no longer have the ability to close the return, and they no longer have the ability to remove the item not as described, and the best they can do for you is refund your shipping. And this is coming from the concierge customer service. It's like VIP, but it's the employees in California, so... What's fabulous? I'd love to answer your question, Red Neggerson's Read Sells, but I don't know what fabulous is. So tell me what it is and I'll tell you. A negative that said thanks. I'm sorry, you don't think it's funny. But I do. The spring seller update typically happens in April. I have no idea what they have in store for us. I'm hoping they're going to talk more about Adyen, because they really made that like such a big deal last year. Like even at eBay Open, they had entire workshops on it, and then fizzled out. So I hope we hear more about that. I'd like to see everybody get their offers to likers on their offers to likers. Here I am on Poshmark. Offers to watchers on their seller hub before they implement anything new. I don't even have mine yet. I have no idea. I'm scared. I'm nervous. Last year was like the year of horror. Every seller update that came out last year was worse and worse and worse for sellers. Yeah, exactly. Dab Kitty on Chuck's account. Most people were reasonable enough to understand that there's just going to be buttheads in the world that you just can't make happy, and they're going to leave negatives no matter what. Making ends meet. You see my face? I really don't want to answer that because we've been bad the last couple of weeks. Okay, typically when things are going great and everybody around here is doing what they're supposed to do, we do, I'm sorry, I was just making sure the chat didn't move on me. We do like 10 to 20 a piece, depending on what else is going on. I obviously don't have as much time to spend on eBay as I used to with everything else, with Poshmark and YouTube. But the week before last, I was really sick, and last week Keith was dealing with some family stuff, so not good recently, but we aim for like a minimum of 20 a day between the two of us, and we really work more like on a weekly goal, I guess. So we say we want to do a minimum of 20 a day, but ideally 40. And then we like figure out the math for the week. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we'll make up what we didn't get to. Does that make sense? Although this week we didn't, and last week we didn't. It's poopy right now. So don't judge us right now, because I did like 6 listings last week. I won't lie. I listed 6 things on eBay last week, but I did like 10. I did like 50 on Poshmark. And I was crazy working on Poshmark last week and some back-end stuff. I'm writing a guide right now. I'm working on some interview questions. I'm working on another project for somebody else who's going to have our channel featured, our store featured on her channel. I just have so much going on that it just doesn't happen sometimes. Febreze is fine to spray on plush. In fact, I have been known to spray them with Febreze. Awesome to clean them. And we make a mixture. You guys know the Persil soap I talk about that allegedly kills germs and bed bugs and stuff, and we use that because we thrift. We have a water bottle, and before we bought our steamer, that was what I sprayed my plush with. I'd lay them out in the hallway and spray them all down with that Persil because it kills bed bugs and stuff. Just the same way I lay out my shoes and Lysol them. But now I have a steamer, so I just steam them. Oh, awesome is 100% okay. In fact, I have like videos on how I clean my plush with Awesome, going into detail about the tools and everything I use. Awesome is perfectly fine to use. Let me get down to the end here, because we are past the hour. Donatella, you can put almost 100%. You can put anything you want to put in your description. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You could say you don't take returns, and guess what? You do. It is nice to have stuff like that in your description, but eBay won't side with you. I backdoor the offers to watchers as well, but I want what I was promised. I want them on my seller hub. But Valentine plush. Hey Kelly, Hip Flippin' Mom is here. I'm sorry, I was like way behind in the chat. I didn't even see you come in. Hello, good to see you. I don't really have an opinion on donations. I don't think they help or hinder. But if it's something you want to do for something that's close to your heart, then do it. That is heresy. There's nothing in this world better than awesome. Nothing. Heresy. Jameson's, that's like a lot more in depth of an answer than I can give in a couple seconds. Poshmark is, it's worth my time. But we've built up. We have like 1,000 listings on there. I have like almost 30,000 followers. I'm in a share group. In the beginning, it was, well, YouTube wasn't even, like in the beginning, nothing's worth the, like think back when you started eBay and you were listing your butt off and not selling anything for like the first couple of weeks. And you had to build it up to the point where it was worth it, right? So I would just say like any new business you start, any new stream of income is never going to be worth it in the beginning. You're never going to get back what you're putting in at first. But if you keep putting that work in, eventually it will, and then some. Thank you, Kelly. It's Margot Robbie. It's Harley. She was a good Harley too. I was super impressed. Anyway, I digress. No, Greg, I don't think people give one poop what your store is called, honestly. Buyers, here's the thing. They go on eBay and they search for what they want and they sort it by free shipping or by price. And they, more than half the time, don't even pay attention to the seller. So they don't care what your store is called. 1 out of every whatevers, I'm going to make up a statistic. 1 out of every 1,000 will remember your name and come back and shop you again. But buyers in general, they just don't pay attention. They search eBay for the item and they buy it. You'd be surprised at how many buyers actually think that they're buying from eBay and not a small seller, just like you buy from Amazon. Nope, nothing's better than awesome. You will not convince me. You better bring it to Vegas and prove it. Oh, wait, you can't take liquids on the plane. Awesome is the most awesomest of awesome cleaners ever in the whole entire world. Dab Kitty, 2 things. 1, if you have spare time and you feel like it, search my channel for Awesome and see what videos come up and maybe watch 1 or 2. Number 2, if you go down into the description box, you can go to our Amazon storefront and I have a link to purchase it in bulk on Amazon. You can also get it at the Dollar Tree. I do that too, Noelle. My animals have dryer sheets in their bags. Hey Trina, welcome in. Just in time to tell me that Folex is amazing and awesome is at the Dollar Tree. Thanks for joining us. I'm about to wrap up. I'm going a little bit over, but I wanted to make sure tonight that I got to everybody's questions. Because the chat was flying for a second there. Magic eraser is good. Empty Tide pens. I have videos on how to clean plush with empty Tide pens and awesome. That's good to hear, Kelly. I'm super excited about that. If you guys can't tell by the 50 million Harley Quinn shirts you've ever seen me in, and sometimes you'll see my Harley Quinn coffee cup when I drink iced coffee, you see the big one when I drink warm coffee. I like Harley Quinn a lot, and I liked her before it was cool to like her. Like, I liked her back when she was the old classic Harley when I was like a teenager. Yeah, pretty much. Robert, zombie, lowest to highest. People don't care. I care. I mean, I branded our whole thing for Keith off of the Hippo Hut. We're Flippin' Hippos. So you can definitely have a name that fits in that you can... the store name's important if you want a brand, because then you can name your Macari and your Poshmark and your Instagram and your Facebook, and if you do a YouTube channel, you can like integrate it all in and have a brand. Okay, guys, I'm 8 minutes over, and I do not want to keep you too long. I have got a bin full of items over here I need to pack for shipping tomorrow. I'm sure you guys are super busy and have things to do too. So I would like to, first of all, 100% thank you guys for coming in tonight. I say 100% a lot, don't I? What a nerd. I need to work on taking that expression out of my vernacular or my lexicon, because that is just gross. I 100% totally like rad. No, I'm kidding. But I do 100% appreciate you guys being here tonight and spending an hour with me. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you guys for listening to me rant and get up on my soapbox in the first half of the video. And thank you for all of your wonderful questions and commentary in the last half. You guys are awesome. Please hit that like button before you leave. It does help the channel, guys. If you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe to our channel and help us feed a hungry hippo. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're at Flippin' Hippos. Please join our Facebook group. A link is in the description box. Until next time, you guys, go be productive, make tons of money, be good to each other. I love you guys. Good night.